Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to discuss about another very important topic for SVG, that is patterns. So in this session, we will talk how we can draw a pattern using SVG and what are the basic steps and syntax that we are supposed to follow in order to draw a shape or a graphic with pattern. Okay, so by the end of this session we will be able to understand all these things like what is pattern element, why we use it, how we can define it, everything, or all the elements that are moving around it. Okay, but before we proceed, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be very easy for you to understand the ongoing topic. For now, we will just focus on mainly about the pattern, but prior to that you should know what is SVG, how we can use SVG, and not as like basic thing, at least you should know how to draw the shapes on SVG. Okay, alright, so now we will talk about the code. So here you can see the code is very simple and straightforward. We have just noted down what title in the head section, and there is one heading which is shown as HTML by Sharmit. Now if you save this and refresh the browser, you will see that HTML by Sharmit is printed on the screen. Clear? Now the next thing is we want to show we want to draw something on a screen, right? So for that we will add the SVG here, but prior to that let's add one heading as well. So here I will write pattern element in SVG. So this would be the second heading, pattern element in SVG. Now we will add the SVG. So to add the SVG, let's add it and put the height and width. So I'll put height equals to 1000, width equals to 500, sorry, width would be 1000 and height would be 500. Okay, now we will apply some border to it. So style border 5px solid black. Now you can save it and refresh the browser. So once you refresh it, you will see that one rectangle has been added on the screen. Now once this SVG is added, it's time to talk bit about the pattern, because before seeing it practically we should know the basics or theoretical things as well. So you can say the pattern element is used to create a graphic that is redrawn at a repeated x and y coordinate intervals. Okay, just to cover the entire area. Clear? Now all the SVG patterns are defined within a defs element. That means like if you want to draw any particular pattern, it should be defined under defs element. Now what is def? Def is just a short form of definition. Okay, so you can say if you have watched the previous session where we defined the gradient, so there also we were using the defs to define the gradient, right? So to define the things we will use defs element. Clear? Now the next thing is the pattern element has a required ID which identifies the pattern. Okay, so sometime let's say if you want to show any particular pattern, you will use a particular ID for that. Okay, fine. Now we discuss about the theoretical thing that yes, pattern is something which is repeated, a particular shape is repeated on the x and y coordinate intervals to cover the entire area. That is clear, right? So now the question is how we can draw the pattern. So to draw the pattern, I'll show you one example where we will draw one pattern with a circle. Okay, so let's draw that. So to draw that, as we discussed, we will firstly use defs to define the element. So I'll just put defs here. In the steps we will write the pattern element, the actual pattern element, pattern. Okay, now in this pattern we will provide the ID. So here I'll write ID equal pat1. Okay, then we will put x equal 0, y equal 0, width equal 20, height equal 20, and we will also apply one attribute which is patterns unit, PATTERN units equal user. Please make sure that you should follow the case sensitivity, because if you are writing something with capital space, it should be in capital space only. Okay, so this is the value. After that, you are supposed to provide the actual shape or graphic which you want to repeat in this pattern. So for that we will use the circle element, and in the circle we will put the actual values like cx would be 10. I'm assuming that you know about the circle and other shapes, how to draw it, because this thing we have discussed separately, right? Then we will put r equals to 10, then we will put fill equals to red. That's it. Okay, so you just need to write like this, and then we are good. So this pattern is ready, but would you be able to see it on screen? Not yet. Why? Because we have not attached this with any of the shapes. So let's add the graphic for that. So here we will write rect. In rect we will write width equal 200, height equal 100, then we will put x equals to 0, y equals to 0, then we will write stroke equals to black, and now we will attach this pattern in a fill. So just write fill URL, and then URL, after URL we will use #pat1. Make sure that whatever you are writing here, it should be same. Okay, if you are writing with capital P, it should be there with capital P only, otherwise it won't work. Okay, fine. Now just after writing this thing, you are good to save it and refresh the browser. So once you refresh the browser, you will see that yes, one pattern has been printed on the screen where the circle is repeated for the x and y coordinate intervals to draw a pattern. Clear? So this is how we can draw a simple pattern in SVG. Now we will talk about the another example where we will use gradient along with this pattern. Okay, so let's modify the same thing. So you can see it is clear. I think now we are modifying the code for the second pattern. I'm not removing everything, I just want to make the modification. So let's add the gradient. So for gradient I'm using here linear gradient method, linear gradient, which we already know how to define it. So let's assign some ID to it. So ID would be grad1. Then we will put stop here, stop. Okay, in this stop we will put offset. Offset would be 0%. Stop color equals to white. Now to save the time, we will just simply copy it, and after a copy you will put the next color here. So for that I will put the offset as 100 and color as red. Okay, fine. So we are ready with the linear gradient. Now it's time to use it with pattern, but we will also make some modification in the pattern. Like here, instead of width 20, we will make it as 0.25, and it is not always fixed. You can use it as per your requirement, but for this example I want to make the changes like this. That's why I'm doing it. And here inside of circle we will put one rect, means rectangle. Why? I'll show you. When we draw the shape you will be able to understand it. So let's put the x value, y value. Y value would be 0, x would be 0, width. Here in case of width we will put 50. In case of height we will put 50 again. Okay, 50, and then we will use this fill with a light blue color. Okay, so fill with light blue. Again I'm saying that if I'm writing something with a small case, please make sure to write in a same case, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so we just added the rectangle here. Now in circle we will make some changes, like here cx would be 25, cy would be 25, r would be 20, and then we will use, instead of fill red, we will use here URL to provide the gradient. So here I will write grad1. Perfect. Now let's apply some fill opacity just to show it more good. So here I'll write fill opacity equals to 0.8. Clear? So we are ready with it. Now it's time to save it, and let's go and apply some changes here as well. Let's make it as 200. Okay, now you can simply save it and refresh the browser. So we can see it is refreshed, but something is not good, right? Here we can see the shape is not coming as per the expectation. So what we are missing here? Maybe we have put something wrong here. Let's verify it and backtrack the thing. So here in we will check from here, grad 1, which is okay, %0 for white, 100% for red, that is okay. Now we have provided pat 1, x is 0, y is 0, width is 0.25, height is 0.25. This is okay. So this thing is not needed here. Okay, so let's remove it. Let's save it and refresh it. Perfect. So now you can see this has been printed as per our expectation. Okay, here we have gradients with a proper color. Here we have a pattern with a proper gradient effect. Clear? So yeah, this is how we can utilize the pattern in order to draw something on a SVG with or without gradient. We have discussed both the method. So now, as per your requirement, you can utilize these things and try to learn more and more about this concept. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.